it's very easy to get wrapped up into it. Because, I mean, I could be like, hey, like, when so-and-so was in here, they were saying this about you, and now you're saying this about it. I mean,
you could really stir it up.
You could really stir it up.
If you wanted to. Did you guys like that little teaser? I'm going to start doing that. That's so fun. Welcome to the Unscripted Files. My name is Madelyn Cunningham. I am a development producer in the unscripted entertainment industry, bringing you candid conversations with the mind behind your favorite entertainment. Today, we have a really good friend of mine of over a decade. He is the owner of Coven Haircraft in Charleston and is also responsible for several heads of hair that you love on Southern Charm and Southern Hospitality. We get into everything from the dinner that started it all for Southern Charm, all the way to the current storylines on Southern Hospitality and how a new generation is ushering in sort of a fresh take on Charleston. So if you aren't up to date on your episodes, there may be some spoilers here, but nothing too crazy. So I hope you enjoy this conversation with Mac. Mac, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you here as a professional and as a friend.
I'm so excited to be here. It's been a long time. We've known each other forever.
Just saying before we press record that we met, I mean, it had to have been, I think, 2011, 2012. I was actually looking at some of the looks I had during Fashion Week, and I was like, which one of these did Mac do? Because there was one crazy one with my hair all insane.
I think that one was on the lanyard the next year. I can't remember. I feel like you were on one of the lanyards the year after from one of the photos from the runway. So, but we always fight over you to do your hair, like during Charleston Fashion Week. Like all the stylists there, they were like, I want her. I want Madelyn. But
you guys made me feel so good and comfortable. You and then Ashley Brooke Perriman.
A huge mentor for me. It actually is like mentored me in more than just like Charleston Fashion Week, even like working like TV and film and things like that. So, and then getting into reality TV. So
yes, yeah, which is why we're here. Okay, so you are on the hair team for Southern Charm and Southern Hospitality. I know you and Leva are super, super close. I met Leva around the same time I met you. Over a decade ago. She's always been an entrepreneur. So she owned like a studio downtown, and I was shooting in it with another Miss Charleston, which is a little lore on my end. But I remember meeting her. Was so incredibly impressed by her. And so to see her even being like the boss she is now is so, so amazing. So tell me how you got to know Leva and how that led to you getting on these shows.
Okay, so it's actually kind of funny. So I met Leva actually through Charleston Fashion Week as well. I had a good friend of mine back in North Carolina. I had moved from Western North Carolina to Charleston, and she reached out to me. She's like, hey, I have this group of girls. They need their hair and makeup done. There's like going to be cameras following them all night. It's kind of like the It Girls of Charleston, like going out to Charleston Fashion Week and the after party. And I was like, oh, that's so dope. She's like, can you do hair for them? And I was like, I'm going to be in the tents. Like, and you know how insane the tents were. I was like, there's no way I could do it. I'm going to be in the tents. I was like, so I have a friend in Charlotte that I'm a national educator with Paul Mitchell with. I totally trust her to do everything. And so my friend Taylor came down from Charlotte, and I was like, I'll buy you a ticket to the after party if you'll go with me or whatever for like doing this for me and everything. So she knocked out the hair, and then after party, I ended up approaching Leva, and I was just like, hey, I was like, I hope my friend Taylor took care of you guys. And she was like, oh my God, she was amazing. We loved her hair. Like, she's so sweet. Like, and I was like, well, I just moved to Charleston. I'm local. I was like, I'm a hairdresser. I was like, I'd love for you to come into the salon, like, just for like a treatment or something. And then she ended up coming into the salon, and we were sitting there talking about her hair. And she was like, do you actually cut hair? And I was like, yeah, I do. And she was like, oh my God. She was like, it'd be so nice to have somebody do my hair here. She was like, and everything. She's like, I've just been getting it done. I'm going to go back to Canada to see family. So she had a stylist in Winnipeg. So she was like happy to have somebody in Charleston. And then she was like, hey, do you want to go out Friday night? And then it was like, after that, that was like my Friday night crew. So people's house, like different girlfriends' houses, and like I would do everybody's hair, and then we would go out on King Street. And it was kind of cool. So then she had Spring Street Studios, and everything on around Spring, and Travis Teat, like all these other photographers, like Charleston's
Oh, you're dropping names. Wow.
heyday.
These are names I have not heard in a long time. Yes.
So, like Charleston was like, there was a very special time period in Charleston. And I remember, you know, Leva texting me like a few years later. We've been friends, we've been going out, and she's like, "Hey, Charleston Fashion Week, there's some producers, they're thinking about doing this reality show, and everything in Charleston." She was like, bring like bring anybody you know. And so I went to this dinner at Hall's after like a night at Charleston Fashion Week, and there was like Danny was there, Leva was there, Cameron was there, Whitney, of course, he's a producer and also on the show and everything. And so it was like really cool to kind of see the beginnings. I think T-Rab was there, so it was kind of like cool to see it start from the inception. But and then mine and Leva's, it was a friendship, and also like I'm a hairdresser as well, so I was just keeping all the girls looking good. So
I love that. So you've been on the show since season one.
So season one, actually, Whitney gave me a call one day. He's like, "I've got this girl. I need you to make her a blonde or something. Like, we're just not filling her hair right now." And the next day, he walked in with Catherine, and
Not feeling the hair. I take personal offense.
no, 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 no.
Okay.
It was like, it was just like, it was a little too like bright and kind of magenta, like kind of like, if you remember, like the first couple of episodes, she had already filmed and
Right.
used up her hair. And I was like, I cannot make her a blonde. I was like, her hair's gonna be pink if I try to do that. So I was like, it's not gonna be pretty. I was like, but let's lean into like this like beautiful redhead. I was like, you're gonna have so many blondes at Charleston. She's like the anti-blonde and everything. So I created that iconic redhead for
Love that.
red tone for Catherine at season one. And uh actually, Leva's first season on Charm, we were filming something in her condo, because it was like Republic's anniversary, so all the girls were coming over. She was like, "Do you have a team that can do hair and makeup?" And I'm like, "Absolutely," because I own a salon. I was like, "All right, guys, we're gonna go do this," and everything. And Leva's so supportive. The entrepreneur in her like pushes me to be a better business person as well. She was like, "Hey," she's like, "Can you get shirts made with your logo on it?" Like, she was like, "Put that out there," like, and I was just like, so it's more than just like, it's a friendship, and we go back way far. It's like family.
Yeah. She just is such a ride or die. Again, even in the brief moment that I met her, I remember like my mom, I think you met my mom. My mom and I got back in the car and we're like, whoa. I mean, she was just so incredibly impressive. She is very loyal. And
Yes.
I think if you do good work, like she's going to root for you. And it's so clear in you guys' partnership and in your friendship and sort of the way you've been able to grow with the Charm franchise and with the hospitality franchise now, which is just so, so fun. Okay, so you okay, so you being responsible for Catherine's Red. Love that.
Yeah.
I also forget that Whitney's a producer. I forget that he is sort of involved in the very initial orchestration.
Yeah, it was like him and like, I think production side. He was like, "I see something special here." And he's got a great mind. Whitney is like super intelligent.
Of that he's kind of always moving the pieces. I mean, even when I was there, and spending a lot of time down there, there was a hierarchy, there was who's who. Fashion Week always brought that out. It was very fun. And like even Molly, which we'll get into in a little bit, Molly was a part of that scene because she was like fresh off ANTM. So
Oh,
she was local model celebrity. So all the models at CFW were like, oh my God, Molly O'Connell. So seeing her on this season
right.
has been so much fun. And I don't know, I've been in the Reddits, and everyone is just really loving her personality. Her vulnerability about her body, I found incredibly refreshing. And her band geek nerd, like her nerding out about music and having that talent, I think is a really fun addition to this group.
What I love is like, I love a hot, beautiful, weird girl.
Right?
Like, it's
She
just like,
checks.
Yep.
every box.
So many people kind of like try to hide those little quirks and everything because they try to be like perfect or whatever. Or like, she just kind of puts it all out there. She's completely vulnerable. I think she's great for TV. I mean, she was amazing on America's Next Top Model. Like, I mean, her confessionals were just kind of like the best. They make
So
the best.
good.
And I mean, in
Her,
her trauma with hair extensions on America's Next Top Model. So I've known Molly for years, Charleston Fashion Week. I've done shoots with her. I mean, Abby, but I've worked with Molly forever over the years, and she's just always a hoot. Like, she's just like good people, and like she's funny and everything. So we kind of started talking, like, right when she found out that she was going to be on Charm. And I was like, well, what are you thinking? Like, she's like, I think I want extensions because she's like so traumatized. And I do.
right.
I'm extensionist. Like, I'm still in the salon, like 2 to 3 days a week. So I was like, hey, let's do it. So it was
You're
her.
like, have you heard of the Casey Welch method? Like, I
Literally,
got you.
I got you, girl. I got you, girl. And everything. Literally, some of the best hair I've ever used. And so we ventured down that path. We did a little color, a little like blonde refresh, and everything. We did extensions, and I mean, it was amazing. So it's been fun working with more of the cast. Some of them I work with them in salon, like doing like cut, color, things like that. And some I just style for like the confessionals or things like that, or like, bigger events during some of the big parties and stuff like that. So
Okay. Yeah, let's get into that. So you know that you on Charm, you have Leva's head. And then you've got Molly and Sally. Who do you typically do?
So up until this season, I was just Leva, really. And Naomi when she was on for one more season, like I would guide her through that. And Angel, love her.
Love Naomi. I really do. I like was giving the Naomi on my Apple Box about Naomi for with a friend the other day. I was like, she speaks French. She's interesting. Like, I was going all in on her. So miss her.
Miss her too. I know. So this year I took on Molly because I was working with her. When it comes to more like confessional, just styling her hair, I'm working with Sally. And then this season, I've worked with Craig, Austin. Austin loves a good little blowout. Like, I love it.
Yeah, he's really particular. Is he the most, out of everyone, guys and girls, is he the most particular about his hair?
Yes. Yes. Him and Leva are both very, like, they're just, it's a little bit of a type A kind of thing. It's like, but it's your image, it's what you're putting out there. So I respect that. Because, like, we'll do this little blowout and everything like that and get it styled into place. And he'll kind of, like, take a look at it and, like, kind of piece it out and be like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. The hair is hairing. So, I always get the hair is hairing, like, then we're good to go.
That's his thumbs up. The hair is hairing.
Yeah, the hair is hairing. So, I mean, I love working with Austin and Craig. I've styled Shep this year for the confessionals and everything. Kelly Hoff, she works with Madison a little bit. Kelly's been working with Madison, doing incredible. And then Angie, local hairdresser, she works with Vanita, which is amazing.
Vanita's
makeup.
Her hair is incredible. And she has an interview, like a white confessional look this season where her hair is up that looks so good. Okay, so let's talk confessionals. I am really curious about how so are they coming to you with like, here's my inspo, here's what I want, here's my vibe for the season, here's, because kind of every season, specifically in the reunions, I notice people do this where, I don't know, for instance, Taylor came to the reunion of season 9 and was like wearing a scarlet dress. And she's like, this is my scarlet letter. Like, you know what I mean? Are they coming to you with a vibe and saying like, here's what I want, here's my inspo, and you're working with that? Absolutely. Or are they coming with a fit and saying like, I trust you, make it work?
So usually they come with like several options of fits. Like, producers have final say.
Okay.
A lot of like taking pictures with it on the green screen. Do they like the color? Do they like the cut of the dress? Like, is it the best looking? and everything. So then we kind of go with that. Like, we'll look at the dress, and then Leva's makeup artist, Julian, incredible. Like, he can just like beat her face. Super, super
To the
fun.
gods, to the gods.
Gods, for real. He's absolutely amazing with her face. But it is a collaborative effort, like between all three of us and everything, because like, if we're gonna go hard on makeup, we can't go so hard on hair.
Right.
Like, there's
Well,
all
and neckline, you got to look at neckline, what's going on there, what's too busy.
exactly. And then is there gonna be jewelry? Is there gonna be earrings? Do you want the earrings to show? Are we gonna do no earring? Do we want that hair to be the statement? So like, Leva definitely has her style. She knows what works for her body. She's actually got a little bit of like hate because she is absolutely gorgeous. She can wear anything. I mean, she's just absolutely stunning. So like, I mean, we just try to bring out her natural beauty. Like, do we want the shoulders to show? Do we not want them to show? We kind of have like our signature looks with Leva at this point. Yeah, sometimes like her signature looks like she can do better than me. And that's what I love because like we've worked together and I've taught her. Like, and now right now we're in a learning curve because we just cut all of her hair off. And it was like super impromptu, like because I also know her because I remember I always refer to it as I was just talking to her about this, the summer of bangs and headbands. Like I got a text, I was in the salon, it's like, hey, I'm thinking bangs, and then I didn't see it for a while because I was working. And she was like, never mind, cut them. And she was trying to blow them out. They just weren't laying right and everything. So I always joke, she calls it rage cutting. And I get it because like sometimes like when I can't control anything going on in my life and there's a lot going on, I'm like, the one thing I can control is my hair. So I'm going to chop it off. Like, I'm going to do something drastic with it. So it's just like a response. Like it's like a thing. And it's also like hair holds energy. Like sometimes you're cutting off things that don't serve you anymore. So I understand that. It's more than just like chopping your hair off. But she was like, we've been talking about it for a few weeks, and then it was just kind of like, let's do it. She came out of literally filming a confessional.
It is definitely there's a lot of girls who do it like post-wedding, the post-wedding chop. I did it like post-grad up to my chin. And you're right. It's almost like, I saw her post about it. She was like, when I feel too attached to my physical body and when I want to just reset, like I just want to chop it off. So I'm glad that you were like, okay, I'm not letting you go home. We are doing this here before you take the KitchenAid scissors and do it yourself.
Yeah, I was like, and even Julian was like, I mean, he's a professional. Just let's just, because we've been talking about it and we've been tossing this. I was like, this could be like a good, like, just reset, refresh, like kind of like a new Leva, like at the reunion and reveal it there and everything. And we've been talking about it for a few weeks and she's like, well, I'm here, let's just do it. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. And she's like,
Love
maybe.
her.
And then I was like, so I went back to like Julie was filmed a little bit of like the process of it and everything. I was like, here, I was like, we have got to get content on this. Like this. So you're always thinking about like the content for that behind the scenes.
Totally. Yeah.
Like,
so we'll get to see that at the reunion, which will be nice.
Yeah.
Which films when? Do we know yet?
We do, but I can't say.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. So with the confessionals, how long are they typically in the chair sort of recounting the events of the season?
So I think this like past season, Charm started filming April, May. Hospitality, they overlapped a little bit this year with filming, which can get a little crazy, especially like for Love.
Yeah.
She's going from filming something for one show to filming something for Hospitality and like day to night. And they're two different vibes of a show, like, because she actually gets to express two different sides. Like, Charm is like, her like friend life, like, and everything, like mom life, things like that. But then on Hospitality, she's boss, queen of king, as like she's been coined. So,
okay, so this season started filming in, you said like April, May,
something like that. And so we did, I think the earliest we did a confessional was probably June. Then we've pretty much been doing them all since then. We've been doing them for Hospitality and Charm like all fall, all winter. I mean, actually this January has been kind of crazy because we started like that first full week of January. We did after shows for Peacock and YouTube and BravoTV.com. And then the next week I was working on hospitality, and then the next week was charm. And then, already this week we're down. And then next week I have charm and hospitality at the same time.
Oh my gosh. And there is such an interesting difference in the two shows. Obviously, Leva is sort of the connector between the two, but the vibe on both of them, obviously the cast members are a decade and some change apart,
Like where they are living their lives on King Street and Republic and everything is where me and Leva were, and where our friendship started was us out on King Street, like in different places. So I remember like, like when I first started hanging out with Leva and we were going out on King Street, like Lamar threw these parties and they were like party for a purpose. So like they were raising money for local charities, but charging a cover at the door. I mean, I went to a Halloween party one year that Lamar and Leva hosted at Chai's, which Chai's is where Republic is.
Right.
Like, I think her and Lamar actually met at Chai's on one of these nights, and that's where their like relationship started. So it was like kind of crazy, like all like the history from the beginning.
Yeah.
History that they have with like Republic and why it is kind of the crown jewel. It has like so much of a history. And coming out of Oku, and like we'd be like how much longer before Republic's open, like, and everything. And she was like, oh, like it's permit, not permit, like, like 2 more months, we think. And it was like a slow start to getting Republic open on King Street, but Republic literally changed the game in Charleston.
It really did. It elevated everything. There was like fine dining, and then there was
you had like the Dirty Dollar
sort of collegey bar, right?
Yeah.
And she really changed the game between Republic, Bourbon and Bubbles, with like elevated nightlife, VIP, something you could really wear a fit to.
Oh, absolutely. It was like a fashion show every time you went out. Like,
yes.
I remember. So, and like being so close to Leva and everything, and just like being through that process. I mean, I remember sitting there for the premiere of Southern Charm at the bar with the whole cast for season 1, episode 1 of Southern Charm. Like, and it's just like how Republic has been a part of Southern Charms really since the beginning. I mean, like Leva's on the first episode with Cameron.
People are going back and watching and they're like, wait, I saw Leva. And I was like, yeah, she's been there like day one, was always there.
Day one. I mean, I remember like if I go like, I never go on my Facebook, but if I go dupe on Facebook to that time and everything, I should, because there's some pictures. I mean, it's like me, Craig, Ebony, Leva, like in the whole friend group. It's kind of interesting to see how young they were, young I was. But like, you go to Republic and there's Craig and, there's Shep, and like they were like, it was just like how they casted the show really was truly like this friend group in Charleston, which is really kind of cool.
Yes. It was cast so well. There was existing relationships there, existing like pasts and layers and relationships there.
Right. And you see, even as like people like kind of come on, like even with the addition of Molly, like Molly goes back to that time.
Right.
Well, it's like, it's really cool to see the evolution and everything. So 10 is like, this is a season for sure. For sure.
Oh yeah. I just caught up. Yeah. I mean, I was like, after the season 9 reunion, I was just like, where is this going to go? And seeing Shep's sort of ayahuasca rebirth. I mean, he's looking great. He's looking super healthy. Like,
heard that from a lot of people, and he is. And like, the time that I spend with him, he's a super great guy. So
yeah.
I think
Craig is in his bossy era. Which like, listen, I respect so much. I think seeing the evolution of the men specifically, and this sort of Peter Pan syndrome that we have, I don't know, I respect Craig and his desire to sort of think more business-like, think more entrepreneur-like. I'm sure seeing Leva and seeing, sort of all these people around him take these big opportunities and not want to waste them. Like, I respect that a lot.
No, yeah. And I think it's like, that just speaks to kind of like what Charleston is too, because like there was a point, and we all kind of go through it, like, you know, like especially if we stay in Charleston, there's a point where like sometimes you can't hang out with some friends because like you're more focused on. But I went through that, like when I stopped going out as much. The shows really represent what it's like to live here and like be out and about and like everything. And you've got like so many different little friend groups.
With Southern Hospitality, they're much younger. Do
Yeah,
you see them as a younger version of the Southern Charm cast, or are there key differences because of are there like key generational differences
there's
that you see?
generational differences for sure. But
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much like we've all like our generation was a little bit different, like kind of going through that, but like they're doing it with like the pressures of more social media, more scrutiny and stuff like that than what there was. Like I'm kind of happy that like there wasn't really that big of an Instagram, Facebook thing like when I first moved to Charleston, but like we weren't like whipping out our phones and posting to our stories like us dancing on top of bars. Like so,
Right.
I mean, Charleston feel like be like kind of like Wild Wild West. And we like it's rowdy, so it's fun. Like people like to have fun here. I mean, I couldn't imagine like somebody taking something like text message between each other, like throwing those. Like I mean, it happens.
It's a lot. These guys, I don't know. Part of me is like, they can't get away with anything. And then I see them get away with stuff and I'm like, well, maybe they can. I don't know. I don't know. Like, what's happening?
No, yeah. And I mean, I think it's like really cool to see like I mean someone like Michaels who's like 21 in college and is like the assistant GM of the hottest nightclub on King Street. Like, I mean, as a real person, getting to meet him, you know, this season and everything. I mean, he's just like a really cool person. Like, I mean, I wish I had his work drive and ethic and everything at 21, 22. Like, that's amazing. So
Yeah, he seems like he has a really good head on his shoulders.
really, really good head on his shoulders. He's really honestly a good guy. And like what you see of him on TV, that's him. Like he's
Yeah.
a person. Like he really cares about people's well being and are they happy? Are they, you know, are they in the right mind space? Like and everything. So
Who else is really kind of like what you see in the chair is like from your perspective, sort of what you get on TV?
I mean, all of them really.
Yeah.
Like,
You feel like they've all really like pretty transparent?
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I've witnessed things. Like, you know,
I was going to say, listen, we all know that when you're getting your hair done is when it all happens. Everyone's on their phone. I know you're seeing some crazy stuff, and I know I know that you're keeping it just right here to yourself. But I know that you know these things.
and but like it's also like a privilege. Like, I mean, just as a hairdresser alone, like people letting you into your space, I actually get like a little bit fresher of like things to do because they're like a different generation. So like I love
What style wise are they really different? Are they willing to kind of try more things?
yeah, like Maddie's always fun to work with. Like
Yeah.
Maddie, she's always fun. Grace Lily's fun to work with.
Mhm.
Everything. I mean, she's Grace Lily. I mean,
She's Grace Lily.
Grace Lily, wavy baby. Mm, she's a hoot. Like she's a hoot. And then
Emmy's looks have been gorgeous too. Emmy to me looks like Ariana Madix a lot to me. Like, do you see that? Like when I glance at her, I have to double take. She's so pretty. I saw some looks on your feed of her. She looks great.
so actually, when we were doing cast photos, like inspiration, one of the inspiration pictures for her cast photo as far as hair, was her from Love Island with the gold dress, the one that like, I think was the same dress that Madison wore in cast photos. It's a beautiful dress. So I'm glad that like that's been seen on two different things and like,
Yes.
you know, because Madison looks stunning in it and like Ariana did too. So I was just kind of like, but that was like the hair kind of inspiration for that. So you just see where we kind of went with that for her look for the cast photos.
Yeah. How long is it usually taking you to like, because you're not washing, right? Like everyone's showing up with clean hair. How long is it typically taking you?
Some show up wet. So sometimes there's a blowout involved. Sometimes that's like the foundation for the style. So usually you get about 2 hours with the lady.
Okay.
So, and that's hair and makeup. We could have like 3 to 4 confessionals a day. So you start early in the morning, you start hair and makeup. And then, first day they're like setting up, like for hospitality, they have a set. And for charm, we do a green screen. Um,
Mm.
so they're like putting up the set, making sure everything's perfect, getting the camera set up, all of that. There's a lot of moving parts with hospitality. It's really cool to see that side of it.
Like it feels Bravo. And like we know it's a green screen. I
Right.
really like hospitalities confessionals because I was looking at some BTS and just like knowing kind of how the sausage is made, like
Right.
looking at a lot of the texture and things that they add. It just feels
Yeah.
a lot more dimensional. I
Oh,
really like hospitalities interview setup.
no, me too. Like I think it's like super elevated. It's like almost like you're in Republic. It's almost like we're filming
Right.
Republic all the time.
Yeah.
So
And so on set with the confessionals, you've got obviously your cast member, and then you've got what? Some lighting, what AB
uh,
cam,
yeah, AB cam, you've got that. You've got sounds. You've
and
got
then your what one
you,
story producer too.
like you got one producer that's doing the interview that
Hmm.
usually flies in. So we have Simonette on Charm. She comes down, does the interviews, and then we have Liz for hospitality that comes down and does the interviews and everything. And it's cool to see that side of it and
Yeah.
in there for them. So we get them set on. We make sure they look good. We do last looks, and then we go back and hang out in the hair and makeup
And
room.
you're on to the next.
And usually we're on to the next. So we might have like, if it's a guy next, we might have like an hour, like little break. That's when we do lunch. And then, because you have production side. So you have somebody that's like PAing, like, going out getting lunch for everybody, making sure we have snacks, like, and when each cast member gets there, they're like, hey, like, can we like coffee? Like, are you
Of
hungry?
course.
So, I mean, it's like, it's a whole system, like, and it's fun to be a part of it. And those
Yeah.
people, they're like family because we're like, doing these every week because we all pretty much work on both shows. So,
Yeah. Is there a set number of confessional looks per season? Or like do you try to keep it to like let's just have three so it's not too confusing? Or is it just kind of like if it calls for more if it calls for more confessionals, we create another look? How does the continuity sort of work there?
so there has been, you know, it just kind of depends. Like, I don't think there's like a set number.
Mm.
Usually on Charm, they give 2 to 3
Mhm.
per season. And then with Hospitality, like first season it was 2, then it was 3 on season 2, and then now season 3. Like, and sometimes like that's what they brought and we don't have another option. So we do it. And then they're like, okay, like we weren't really feeling that look. So on our next round, let's do a different look. Let's do different hair, different makeup, different outfit, and everything. And it's also like headspace that they're in. Is their energy up and everything? Do they blow through the interviews like boom, 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 boom?
Mhm.
Or are they just like kind of tired or like,
Hungover.
sometimes, sometimes, but like,
Yeah.
boom, just like pull it through. So,
Yeah.
so it just,
How often so with interview looks, obviously you're sort of working with attire first and then it's, so is the cast member and I know, listen, I know we've got Hampton and we've got sponsorships and we've got the things. Does each individual cast member sort of bring their options or are you working with wardrobe and they're pulling for the cast member?
usually they're ordering offline. Like
Yeah, they're bringing their own stuff. Yeah. And so they're bringing looks, producers looking at it.
with Leva, it's like, I mean, we just did a magazine shoot for Charleston Style and Design.
Yes.
And she had some stuff pulled, and like me and Julian were there at the house doing her hair and makeup, and she was like, all right, let's style these outfits. So like we kind of come in and we're like, no, not those earrings, we like these earrings better. I mean, what better than having 2 gay men like do your hair and makeup and advise you on what to wear? Like, no,
Mhm.
use those shoes, those, like, that looks better and everything like that. So she kind of, like with Leva, she just kind of pulls it all herself. A lot of it's out of her own wardrobe. And then we're constantly like, I'm already getting like, pictures and seeing like what we're thinking, like reunion look.
Is there someone on the cast, both charm and hospitality, that you in the nicest way possible are like, give me your head, let me pop it off, and let me do like a color revive on you? Or is there anyone who you're like, they're a blonde, but they would look amazing as a brunette, or I really would love to see them in like cowgirl copper? Is there anyone that you would like to see really like push it with a look and do something different?
Oh no, because I feel like they kind of do. Like, I mean, if you've watched Charm this season,
you feel like they're taking risks? I mean, Leva obviously just chopped her hair off.
right. I mean, Sally, she started the season as a blonde, and then halfway through confessionals, like, we're doing the same look, but she's a brunette. I mean, I think everybody's noticed that. So, like, she goes from blonde to brunette. And I mean, I personally like her better as a brunette. I feel like sometimes, like, blondes in Charleston, you just become like every other girl in town, because there are so many blondes here. And, but as a colorist and a blonder myself, it's like I love that, like, a lot of people can be like, oh, that's a Mac blonde.
Oh, I love that.
That
feels good.
Yeah. I mean, I've had like clients get stopped like out and about, and they're like, oh my God, does Mac do your hair? And I'm like, oh, that makes me feel really good. So, I mean, I hope it's a good thing. It sounds like it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, okay, so I'll extend it out. Is there anyone, and I don't know how much, I know you don't have a lot of time, but is there anyone in the Bravo verse that you're like, I would love to do your hair?
So many.
Any housewives? Who would you just love to get a hold of?
Last summer, I got a amazing opportunity to work with probably one of my all-time favorite housewives that, very much caused controversy and was a one-season housewife. But I got to work and style Monica Garcia from Salt Lake City.
Incredible.
She was here for an appearance in Charleston at Lamar's, actually, one of Leva's places. And it was a birthday party for another friend, and her and another girl from Below Deck were in town. But I got the opportunity to style her hair, and I was like, this is iconic. So,
yes.
I mean, I would say like my top one, like I've kind of done, and she's amazing. Like, she was a dream to work with. Like, and the fact that like we finished doing her hair and everything, and it's like July in Charleston, and she's like helping me carry my kit back out to my car. I'm like, no, girl, get inside, your hair's gonna drop. And she's like, no, like super sweet. So, I mean, that was my experience. I think she's amazing.
I like to hear that. I'm glad you brought this up. I have a note. I literally have a question here. The Charleston humidity is such a problem. How do you battle it? Like, are you using certain products? Are you just like, I mean, obviously I know the interviews are inside, but people are, you're doing glam for parties and whatever else. How do you battle the humidity? What is the secret?
Choosing the right product, and for like who you're working with too. So, like with Leva, like she is a big fan of Virtue Labs, which salon, I'm a huge lover of that as well. Isles formula works really well. Their finishing serum really calms down humidity. A lot of times with Leva, it's like the Orbe, like anti-humidity spray. Like that's always a go-to for us. And it just kind of depends. Like sometimes just a good old hairspray. Sometimes like the got to be like yellow can hairspray. That's my go-to during confessionals. So crazy.
It'll really hold it down.
So the great thing about it is you can build it. So it's a brushable hairspray. So I'll even like set curls with it, because when they go in for their confessionals, like if it's the middle of like the summer here and that humidity and how hot it can get, they'll have the air on, but because of sound, we have to turn the air off during the interview. So it can get pretty humid in there. So, and then especially when you're working with a green screen, like you can have like 0 flyaways. So imagine hair that's prone to humidity, growing in front of a green screen, just flyaways happening. So I'm my own worst critic. So like I'll be like watching the shows and I'm like, oh God, that flyaway. Like, why didn't I see that?
But you can't really be in there to continuously give touch-ups because you're on to the next person.
And then and they'll be like, hey, can we get a like, we'll get a text from like the camera guy, and he'll be like, hey, can we
Mm.
have you in for a touch up? So we'll come in the back and we'll wait for a moment, and then they'll be like, all right, cut, and then we'll go in and do like a little touch up, like they need a little powder, like things like that. Do they need to take a potty break? Because they could be in there from like 2 to 4 hours just
Mhm.
in the day.
My gosh. Okay, so confessionals, we know. Are you, when it comes to the day-to-day filming, and I know this has probably changed from season 1 now to season 10, maybe everyone glams for the camera for the most part. So are you doing, does everyone kind of have their own glam squad for sort of the day-to-day filming now? And some people do glam if like you guys are having a party and you're just there kind of case by case.
Yeah, absolutely. So like throughout the season, so like with like Molly, like, and she was like wearing extensions for the first time in a long time. So like sometimes like she would just come in beginning of the week, we do a shampoo blowout, kind of give her like a prep style. And if she was filming throughout the week, she would just kind of like throw some curls in it. But if they were gonna like, go to the Carolina Cup or something like that, or like some kind of bigger event, then like she would just come in salon and I would like do her hair real quick. I did Sally's hair. I think it was for her housewarming party. I feel like the day to day, they're kind of doing it on their own. And
I was going to ask, does anything have to be producer approved for the day-to-day filming, or they're just kind of doing their own thing?
yeah, they're doing their own thing. Like, like Leva, like usually during like filming, unless it's like an event, like the finale, something like that. Like me and Julian come in, we'll do it just because she's so busy, like, running all these businesses, being a mom.
It's crazy. So what does your schedule look like coming up? Like you've obviously been super busy. You've got reunion, we don't know when, and you've taken sort of a step back from being in the chair every day at Coven, but
Yeah.
you have a whole team to manage.
Yeah.
So like you were the Leva of the Charleston hair scene, basically. So
Yeah.
tell me what things look like for you coming up.
So like next week, I think we start on, we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, hospitality interviews, but on Tuesday, I think we also have a charm interview. So they normally do it in the same studio, but because they're booked on the same day, they're in two different studios. I have to figure out how to be in two places at one time, but luckily I have my like handy dandy like assistants that can like pop in. Like this season with hospitality, like my Gwen, she worked with Lake and Michael's first. So she really started to set that relationship with them, which was kind of beautiful to see, like how I have come and made these relationships with people to, because you're really just trying to make them the best of who they are. Like it's not a character they're portraying. So it's different than
Right.
TV and film versus like reality TV. And I've had a great career where I've been able to work in TV and film and see that side of it. I mean, I toured for almost a year with a Broadway show, the 20th
Fun.
Rent. And that was an amazing experience. From the beginning of my career, I wanted to work with, like, say, people and their personal image. Like, I came from fashion before doing hair. So fashion actually plays a lot into, like, how I see hair and makeup. And that's why I gravitated towards, like, Charleston Fashion Week. And then even with, like, reality, it's like you get to, like, take who they are and like express it through their hair and work with them, and it's a very personal thing, so it's very rewarding.
It is. And there's a lot of trust involved, not just because, like you said, they're not portraying a character, this is themselves. And there's so much scrutiny when you're in front of the camera, on social media, there's so much scrutiny. So there's a lot of trust involved. How do you, I mean, I know you, so I know that you innately are so friendly, you feel like such a trustworthy person, but how do you build trust with your clients? They're celebrities in their own right. They're sitting in your chair, they may be talking, taking phone calls, texting. There's a lot of sort of, confidentiality that's involved as well, because, there's a lot that goes on in the chair. So how do you continuously build trust, both personally and then like from a, hey, you can trust me with your hair perspective?
It has to be like a it is a trust, but it's just like, it's there, it's not, and I'm actually willing to be like, what you want, like I can't give you, just being honest. And it's like, okay, if Leva was like, I want to chop my hair off into a bob, and I was like, yeah, no, like I would be honest with her. But I honestly, I kind of saw it as like, I have kind of wanted like this kind of change for her but I had to let her come to me with it. But it also works both ways. Like sometimes like we'll do Leva's hair for like a confessional or something like that, and she's like, something I'm not feeling about it, because like the goal is for them to look and feel their best and to be confident. If you're not confident and you want to like flip it to the other side, then let's do it. But I'm like also open enough as a stylist that like it's not like, no, it has to be like this. Like when you're working on a shoot, you may have a storyboard of what you're thinking about hair. Once you get them into the clothes and everything, it's like the designer may be like, no, I'm not feeling this look. And it's not that I did anything wrong. It's just like, let's rework it. But that's where the creative process comes in. So it is very creative in the whole process of like delivering these looks.
What trends, obviously, Charleston in the South, sort of, the higher the hair, the closer to God. Like, I think there's certainly a recognition for Southern Belle hair. But how, over the course of sort of 10 years, have you seen hair trends change and what people want? I feel like there's a return to like a lot of volume, a lot of curl, a lot of side part now. Talk to me about what trends you've seen and what you're seeing.
Oh, absolutely. Like bobs are huge right now. Like, and it's kind of just a continuation of like that 90s influence. Like I was just watching the In Vogue in the 90s and just like seeing those supermodels in the hair and like what they were wearing. I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot of like influence on us right now. Like, I mean, I love the big 90s blowout. Like, last year with the Southern Hospitality reunion with Leva, she had this amazing Versace, I don't even know what it was, rubber, vinyl, whatever, but it was shiny perfection. But she's like, I'm just kind of feeling like this like boss, like, and I was like, oh, you got a fur to wear with it? I was like, we're going like mob wife, like big hair. And that was actually a moment for us because I had to be like, trust me, we can take all these extensions out at the end of the day, but I have to use like different methods other than just clip-ins to make it fill out and do what we want it to do. And she was so scared because like the curling I was using is like the size of a pencil. And made tight little curls and everything, and she had so much hair. And I mean, her hair was kind of like a little lower than the collarbone, but like we put 20s in, so
My gosh,
it was just like this expansion, and so many people were like, "Oh my God, I need to know what you did for her color." And I'm like, "It was all extensions, guys."
Sorry.
Oops, sorry. But being able to create those looks and have that trust, she was like, "I'm just going to trust the process." And I mean, it was like, just trust me, this is going to be some epic hair. So we're always kind of thinking like, what look are we going to serve? Like always trying to push past what we've done before.
Do you watch the show back? You're not one of those who's like, I can't see. Like, are you watching religiously?
I wouldn't say that I watch religiously. I watch because I want them to get the viewership for it. When you work with multiple ones and say like they're not cool with each other, like I'm like Switzerland. I have to say like very neutral. They may be saying this about this person and this, or I mean, it's very easy to get wrapped up into it, but it's just kind of like I had to put like just for my own sanity, because I mean, I could be like, hey, like when so and so was in here, they were saying this about you, and now you're saying this about it. I mean,
you could really stir it up.
You could really stir it up.
You wanted to.
Really. And I mean, I'm not saying that there weren't hair and makeup people in the past that kind of did that. So,
well,
it took over
Madison was doing hair for Patricia, and then she started. So it's not like you guys are like, it's not like there's a total separation. You guys are very much a part of the life, the friendship circle. So everyone is very much friends. There's not a separation of like church and state necessarily.
Not at all. Not at all. It's like one family, like just kind of all doing our things. And, like I've been in the background of stuff, like, last season on hospitality. But I'm like in the background the whole time. But like I'm just like sitting there talking to Joe. Like that's just like normal. Like
right.
Everything.
It's very normal. Have any of the guys done color, or are they just like they're not fussing with it?
No, everybody's like, I mean, everybody like, I've been cutting Joe's hair for a little while, since like season 1. And he likes it to get a little bit longer in the back. He calls it like his little baby, but he likes it a certain way. So like we do a little like kind of like with Austin, we do a little blowout, give it some volume. He likes that, like, it's Joey Bottles. It's
yeah. Are they, I mean, I know that a lot of the, the women who sit in the chair are learning and they're watching your technique because we want to know how to do our hair so badly. Are any of the guys kind of taking note and starting to be like, okay, a little product, I know Austin like does his blowout, but are they trying to kind of learn the tricks of the trade too a little bit?
So like when they go out, they look good too. So like Joe's like one of those. He's like, oh, what size round brush you use? Like, he's got his own round brush, and everything. Like even, like with Naomi, like I had done her extensions, and I was like, you're gonna love this brush. It's like really meant for extensions and blondes. It's more gentle, but it's a really great brush if you're gonna blow out. So be gentle on everything. Fell in love with the brush, put it on her light to know, like, and I was like, oh wow, like you can sell those suckers like that. I was like,
You're like,
you're
give me a commissionable link, like.
So it's just
I
like
love that.
they putting the things in their hands and everything, and
Right.
they go off and then they talk about it, like, Joe Bradley, he likes a DP Hue hairspray, and everything to nice and like hold, doesn't make it like super hard for him, and everything, but holds it right in place. It's great for the humidity in the summer working at Republic, and everything. TJ, like we kind of changed up his look when I didn't cut his hair on season 1, but starting season 2, he was like, I need like a change, like I don't like how it looked on camera, like this and that. Season 1, like it was just like, so we kind of like played around with like different fades, like adding more shadow in different parts of the head, and like still being TJ, but like actually kind of bringing a little edge and style for season 2 and season 3.
He does, like, he feels very buttoned up, like still very like proper gentleman. So I like the little bit of edge.
Exactly. And that was something we worked on together. There are times when it's like when we have confessionals, it's like he hasn't been in the salon to get a haircut or something like that. And it's like, all right, we have to add a little bit of extra time so I can do his little fade up so it looks like our confessional haircut did right before the last one.
Oh, I guess you aren't really, I was going to say, like in the confession, when people get emotional, how often are you guys coming, like at least you're having to do some touch ups? I guess you really wouldn't do them very much, but I'm sure it's pretty often.
No, yeah, it can, like, depending on what they're talking about, it could be very, very often.
Yeah.
Especially this season, especially for hospitality. There's a lot of
there's a lot of, Joe and Maddie are together now. I just finished the latest episode. There's history just with TJ and Joe. There's a lot of feelings. There's a lot going on. And I'm just curious about your perspective here because we've also brought a lot of gay characters onto Charm as well. And Charleston being a traditional conservative city, Charm specifically has had a lot of intense conversations about race and classism, and now bringing on gay characters. And I like seeing that in hospitality. I like even Lake saying that she kind of was sort of pansexual and went for anything. Like how is it to sort of really see everyone being open about that and seeing not just like hetero relationships playing out on screen?
I think it's absolutely beautiful. Like, I think that's what this generation is kind of about. And I think that they represent that very, very well. And, they had a new showrunner this year and everything's actually like a little bit younger and approach to the show, which you can kind of see the differences. Like the music's a little bit different, like the fun feels a little bit younger, not like the previous like showrunner was doing bad. The first 2 seasons are amazing, but I've heard this said a lot, like season 3 is kind of like your make or break season, and they hate to see shows go after like 2 years because you really don't get into it. Like the first 2 seasons were great, like knowing them and knowing kind of the history and like kind of a little bit of behind the scenes of like what's actually like happening on the show. And I think they did a great representation of it. But this season is really like, but seeing like gay characters from the very first season of hospitality is really nice. But I think that points to just like this generation, and they're open to talk about it. They're not willing to hide it, which I think is like really amazing. I mean, if they don't get nominated for like a GLAAD award, I mean, they're showing so much gay stories. And I'm actually interested to see like if like when me and TJ filmed, if it makes it into this season, because it was me, TJ, and his mom. I was doing his mom's hair and doing his hair. And there were some really beautiful conversations that I was like, wow, like you and your mom are having these conversations about like your lifestyle and your life and your relationships with people and everything. And not every one of us gets that. A lot of us do, and a lot of us don't. So it was beautiful to see, like, just like TJ and his mom. I hope that makes it to air because just
Yeah, I do too.
conversation is very beautiful. And then him and Joe's conversation, very beautiful. And I mean, I love the two of them to death, like so much. Like TJ almost feels like a little brother to me sometimes. Joe's Joe. Like, how can you not love?
Listen,
So, like, in their little feud, having to like do both of them's hair, so it was like I can't talk about one or the other one, like and but now that I think they're in a much better place and everything.
yeah.
So, and I mean, and it's
Well, it's gosh, you're right. A lot of people don't get to have those conversations. Even Michael's said when he came out, like his mom doesn't even call him and wish him happy birthday. So to be able to have that on screen is amazing. I mean, frankly, if you even look at the concept of sort of Southern masculinity in Southern Charm, we have everyone who like makes fun of Craig for sewing and like, who's like harping on him about that. And that's gotten better, certainly, but there
yeah,
still
yeah.
is a lot of that sort of like,
I'm like, I mean, he's built an empire.
right. I'm like, hate all you want, and so you have that sort of traditional, I'm going to rag on you for, your arts and crafts. And then you get to Southern hospitality where everyone's sort of open about their sexuality, they're experimenting their experiences, and it's really refreshing. And I totally noticed sort of the music sort of shift a little bit, the pace, the openness, the messiness. It's been really interesting to see, and it really does bring a genuine I think a lot of these shows can get such a bad rap for feeling performative or feeling like they aren't authentic. And I think those sort of pieces specifically have been really great to see, and they bring sort of a genuineness to the show
Absolutely.
that people can really relate to.
No, absolutely. I mean, I've seen so many like memes about the lake house and like with Emmy and like her Maddie and talking, and they were like, who hasn't been that girl that's there for your girlfriend, like over something like this with your mascara running down your face? Like, if
Literally, like I just finished it before, and I was like, girl, been there, babe. I've been
me,
there.
it's their willingness because they're like, they're young and like they're willing to like put it all out there, and put their relationships and what they're going through, and everything. So I mean, kudos to them. Like, I mean, I don't know if I could do it.
I
You know,
know, I agree with you. I like being
I mean,
behind the scenes. I respect
well,
you guys because it kind of is like a social listen. I mean, I think these shows it's a lot of social, I don't want to say it's a social experiment, but we're watching real life play out in real time. Relationships, growth, individuality, individual people's journeys. And I think we all can relate to like different people's past in different ways. And that's why we're all hooked.
exactly. I mean, it's because
Yeah.
like we can see like the similarities in our friend groups and stuff like that. And like for me, like with hospitality, I feel like I'm like, oh, the guy with the white beard that's like, oh, wisdom, like you're gonna go through this, you're gonna get through it, it's gonna be okay. And I'm like, wow, I was like, yeah, situations like that happened to me and like, this person, like, or that I don't talk to.
Yeah.
Or
How often do you find yourself sort of like playing therapist in the chair?
oh, it's like 90% of what we do as a hairdresser. It's crazy because I'm just like, that's the part that can get kind of like taxing on you and like draining a little bit is because like we have to recharge ourselves because we kind of like take on this energy depending on what a client's going through, or sometimes like they walk in and what's going on and what they're getting ready to have to talk about and everything. I hate saying it like trauma dump, but they kind of like throw that out there, but you have to be very careful with what you say and how you guide them, because then it can put something into their head and then you go out there and say something they didn't really want to say.
Yeah.
That's where when I say like you kind of have to play neutral, like you just kind of have to like be like, yeah, man, I know it's like so stressful, but like we've all been through this, like it'll all get better. Like you have to keep it very light. Sometimes they'll be like, and it kind of hypes them up, and then they go out there and they're like, and I'm like, oh, was that what
Oh
I?
no.
courage to go and do like you have to just kind of
You embolden them. Yeah.
yeah, and you're just kind of like that sounding board for them. I mean, Leva says it all the time that like glam is like her safe space
Mm-hmm.
because she knows like whatever happens in that, and like we kind of help recharge her. We allow her to kind of like, especially during a reunion, and we take a break and we're doing touch up. We're back in the dressing room. She can kind of like vent and get it all out. So like when she goes back in there, like she's like calm again and like
Right.
can handle the situation that needs to be handled and everything.
Yeah. The reunions are specifically, as opposed to confessionals where you're sort of a little bit isolated at least and can kind of gather your thoughts and do your thing and talk through it. The reunions are like you are sitting right there. Andy is not pulling any punches and they get so heated and everyone's also had time to watch the season play out, process, and like they've thought about what they're coming with, you know what I mean? So in between sort of breaks in on reunion specifically, you're saying that like everyone gets a chance to cool down. How I know that they try to keep people sort of somewhat separated so that not a lot goes on back there. Are people still like trying to resolve stuff? And are they trying to keep them sort of separated so that, everything's still caught on the couches?
I mean, for the most part, yeah. I mean, there have been like I think reunions where like things kind of because dressing rooms were near each other and like cameras had to come
Mics
running.
are still on.
Mics are all still on, and everything. So, reunions are fun. Reunions are so I did not do Leva's first year reunion because it was like conflict of schedule. So she actually did her own hair, her first reunion.
Ugh.
And then I did her the next year, which had like the floral dress.
Mhm.
It was like big waves.
Favorite reunion look that you've done on Leva?
I think this year's is going to be my favorite.
Oh, I love that. You're like, the thing that you haven't seen yet is my favorite.
There's a whole team in New York too. Like you've got Caroline who like works with Andy hair and makeup. You've got Julius and Priscilla and like all these incredible hair and makeup artists that like work in the clubhouse all the time with like the Watch What Happens live.
Watch What Happens, yeah.
So and then like sometimes like with Watch What Happens, like, sometimes we might get the opportunity to go to New York and everything, but it's also easier for somebody local to do it. So there's like different glam squads for like
for different locations. I mean, Bravo's just got it locked down in general.
you show about all the different glam squads and
That's it. Okay, it seems like there is a good energy between everybody, but does it get a little possessive, like with different sort of cast members or anything?
like you get like you don't want somebody else working on them.
Yeah.
No, not really, because I think that like especially if they're like watch What Happens live, like I know that they're gonna look amazing. I don't feel like there's like competitiveness like with like the different glam squads because I know like BravoCon's like my like Super Bowl, and actually getting to see other glam squads and like hairdressers that like I have mad respect for. Like,
yes, the multiverse of makeup artists.
Yeah, like Brandon Lombardi. Like, I mean, I know my first BravoCon, I almost like killed him in the lobby of the hotel because he like tripped over my kit because I wasn't paying attention where I was going. And everything. And I'm like, oh my God, like I follow you, like I have mad respect for you as a professional and as an artist. And I was like, and I almost like killed you in the middle of the lobby at BravoCon.
I don't think that all the celebrities are running around, the Bravo celebrities, but you don't think about like how their teams are also like, I've seen your work, I love what you do. And so you guys are also getting a chance to like really mingle and meet with people that you really admire and love.
And then this last one, like when we were in Vegas, like, the hotel that like the cast, all the Bravo celebrities were staying in, and like we're like hair and makeup, we're all staying together. So it's like on the elevators, I could be not only on the elevator with like one of the Bravo celebrities, but I'm like, oh my God, like I respect your work so much. I know you do like Erica Jane. It's kind of like you kind of get to meet those people and kind of like you start to build like a little web within the hair and glam squads
of that. I mean, you're living your dream, I feel like, Mac. Like
this June will be open for 7 years, and I can't believe that like this little seeing Charleston kind of bloom just with reality TV, but then also like you had Danny McBride that moved
I was
to.
gonna say Righteous Gemstones films there. There's become like a little production hub.
Oh, it's huge. And then you had OBX, and I was fortunate to have friends that work more in that because I chose behind the chair. It's hard to be behind the chair, a salon owner, and work on set like that.
Yeah.
So that's where reality kind of gives me like that little bit. I get to work on set and I get to do stuff like that, but then I also like get to be behind the chair and be a salon owner. But mad respect to all my friends that work production all the time. But because of that, I get to day play. I day played on the first season of like OBX, which was like super fun and cool.
That's fun.
And then I was actually really excited. I've always wanted to work on Righteous Gemstones, and I got to day play this past season for the last one.
Natalie's on that show?
He is, yes.
Yeah.
Full time this year. And so excited for her. Natalie actually helped me last season on season 2 with Southern Hospitality.
Awesome.
Because it was during the writer's strike, so they weren't working. So I was like, hey girl, I was like, it's not TV and film money, but it's something why you can't work in TV and scripted and stuff like that. So I was like, if you want to help, like, please, like, I need it. And she was a huge help because like Natalie is actually who got me on tour with Rent. And it's so fun. It all stems back to like this friend group that I became a part of when I first moved here with Leva, and Natalie was a part of that friend group.
Yep.
But then we worked Charleston Fashion Week with Natalie. So it was just kind of like, still to this day, like there's still these people like, all around living their lives. And all don't like go out on King Street every Friday and Saturday night anymore, but we're all still friends, but we're all like in our like entrepreneurial life, like owning our business, doing our thing, like
grow and do different things. I mean, you really, like I said, you really are, I feel like, living your dream and doing what you've really worked so hard for. What more would you like to do? Is there more sort of film and television? Is there more in the unscripted world, like dating shows, or like what would you like to try?
This is not the top. Like the climb still has a lot to do. I have an ultimate goal, and it does involve unscripted, like in being able to work with producers and stuff, and hear how they got into the game and like shows that they put out there. Like Erin, who's worked on Charm and everything, she sat in my chair. I've been privileged to cut her hair, and like she worked on Hospitality. She lives in LA, but like she just created a show with Stassi. Like she worked on the Kardashians. So like they kind of like bounce around to different shows and work on different stuff and have different backgrounds. But getting to hear the backside of it, like how a show gets created, like just like telling these stories. I remember watching the first season of The Real World. I mean, I even auditioned for like The Real World when I like was able to, as soon as I turned 18.
Love that.
For New Orleans. And everything. And that's when you like did a video of yourself and you like the VHS tape and everything. So it was just crazy. But then, funny story, like I'm talking about that one day. I'm like, yeah, when I was 18, I was like, I wanted to be on The Real World. And then Matt Shelley, who's a cameraman, director of photography, like during like confessionals and stuff, he was like, oh yeah, I worked on that season of Real World. So you have like people like working on these shows that have been
in the game
for a long time, have seen like reality TV change and everything. Like Matt just did a whole thing. They did a thing with him and Shep, and they were kind of like, Matt was interviewing Shep and talking about the 10 years of working on the show. And they were even talking about how the cameras had changed used and everything, and how much has changed just since the beginning of Southern Charm. So, and I mean, they even
it's
iPhone footage now, like everything. So
it's very like iPhones, GoPros, like there's sort of a grace when it comes to quality in a sense. Things got really creative during COVID as well. And so I think there's just been sort of a breaking of the fourth wall in terms of how this stuff is done. And it's so cool to talk to you and to have seen your journey and everything that you're doing. Okay, I'll ask you a couple of questions before we wrap up.
Beautiful.
Number one, for someone who would love to see themselves in your position, who does hair or makeup and like does glam, and this is like, they're like, oh my God, if I could only do it for a show, what would be your advice to them?
I mean, do it. Put your work out there. Like, reach out. If there was one thing, so like growing up in the South, it was like rude to ask for things that you wanted. But once I moved to LA, I realized really quickly, like if you want something, you have to ask for it. So I would say like partner up with somebody that's already doing it. They're like, oh hey, like I follow you, I love your work. You know, if you ever need like an assistant or, you need backup, like I would love, like you just have to put yourself out there and and ask for what you want.
Totally.
Because one thing I've realized about this industry is not going to come for you. Like you have to go for it. So you
Oh,
have to
100%. Send the DM. Like,
send the DM.
send the DM, send the email, pull your seat up to the table and act like you belong there. Like, act like you've been here before.
Be with people that like when they're at tables that you're not at, that they speak highly of you, so they bring you to the. And then it's also don't ever forget who brought you to the table. You know.
Oh, say that again. That is so true. Aside, obviously, from like charm and hospitality, what reality shows and unscripted shows do you just love to watch? What are you watching right now?
Oh, anything really. Like I love a housewife show. Like Salt Lake City's my favorite, so obviously I've been hooked to that lately. The ending of New York really like captivated me. I was kind of on the fence also, and now I'm like, okay, I am all in now.
Right.
To me, that finale was very much how I felt after Bermuda, like Monica's season with Salt Lake City. But I love a good Mama June. Like,
Listen, have you watched, you said Salt Lake City, have you watched Secret Lives of Mormon Wives?
I watched a couple episodes and I just
So you've seen the Utah, what is it, the Utah Wave?
Utah
You know,
curls
the
and
Utah curls.
yeah.
I I have to learn. I'm like, okay, there's the Utah curl. I'm like, what is the Charleston curl? Because the Utah curl I was trying to do, and I was like, what am I doing wrong?
You just have to leave the end straight. Like I
Ah.
don't like that. So like I'll have people in the salon, they're like, oh, I want like Utah curls, and I'm like, no,
You're
no,
like, sorry,
like
not
sorry.
here.
Like I can do a nice beach wave and leave the end straight, but not
Sure.
like 4 or 5 inches of the end straight.
Yeah.
Which is a beautiful thing. Like, and honestly, I met Jessie in Orlando this past summer, and she was such a sweetheart.
Yeah. She's got her own little Utah empire going on over there.
Absolutely, mad respect for that. And I mean, I got a couple episodes in, and I didn't hook me. Like, I was kind of distracted by the hair because like having a bob, and then she's a redhead, and then she's a blonde, and then so I was like, my OCD and like my type A for continuity is like driving me crazy right now. So like I have to put this one on the back burner.
We've seen a lot of cast members sort of come and go. Do you feel like when someone sits in your chair, maybe they're new, do you feel like you have a sense for like, oh, they're really going to fit in. They're really going to do well. They have kind of a thick skin. Do you feel like you have a sense for kind of who will be a good fit with the cast?
Oh, absolutely. Like absolutely. Like he cracks me up. He's exactly who you get. And I mean, he's a character just in normal life. But it wasn't a good fit with the rest of the cast. Like he's hilarious. But you could see like it was just a disconnect with everybody else.
Sure.
Everything. So I mean you can definitely tell if somebody's gonna fit in. Like this year, like with Sally, I was like, she owns her shit. So
Yeah.
that's mad respect. She's like, yeah, like, this is
Oh, I was going to say she owned in the latest episode, she owned something that I'm not even going to repeat. And I was like, okay, girl, yes, you say that. You own that. So, yeah, it's interesting to see sort of like how they're all, I think as a viewer, certainly now, we're just more sort of savvy and educated behind the scenes. And we can tell when someone's being genuine and telling the truth and owning their whatever, how ugly it may be. And I think there's just much more respect for that versus someone who we can tell is like keeping us
oh yeah,
at a distance, you know?
not giving you everything going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely feel that. And I mean, I think when you sign up for reality, like you sign up for everything being out there because I will say, if you try to hide a skeleton, it will find its way out some way or another. So
Yes.
like you just you have to be able to like own it.
Yeah. Before we wrap, we're about mid-season right now. Without any spoilers, what do we have to look forward to for both charm and hospitality?
A lot of fun and a lot of drama and A lot more messiness and maybe some sparks of new relationships. I'm not sure. So we'll have to wait
Okay.
now.
I
So
have some ideas. We'll see how it plays out. Well, it's just been so great to have you here. It's been so amazing from for the past, I don't know, 12, 13 years to just like have met you, be your friend, and to stay connected and to now be sort of like meeting up again in this medium. And it's awesome. And I just love to see your work, and
well, thank you. And
you're an
like
amazing human.
things lead back to Charleston, you know?
Yes, they scarily do. They really do. Oh, perfect. Well, we look forward to the rest of the season and keeping up with you on Instagram. You are at mac.does.hair, right?
Yep, that's me.
Yeah. And you
Me.
post a ton of like fun BTS on there. I highly recommend following. It's so fun to like see the day in your life and your content and then the looks that you're doing. So it's always a fun follow for me.
Oh, thank you.
So good to catch up with my friend Mac. If you're not watching and you're just listening, he is a redhead. And we have telepathy, an invisible string, if you will, that you only understand if you're a redhead. I'm still watching Traitors. I am still watching Special Forces. Traitors is so diabolical. I'm so jealous I didn't develop this show. It is absolutely incredible. I also started watching Wags to Riches on Netflix. It's phenomenal. It is their access to the wives of these prestigious athletes, artists is crazy. I would love to get someone from that show on to talk about how they made that happen with Kodak Black and Ocho Cinco, and it's just absolutely crazy. I am actually headed to Real Screen next week, and I'll be there meeting with my colleagues and friends, and I'm so excited. It's always a week full of creativity, creating relationships. That's what this industry is all about. So I'll give you maybe a little recap when I'm done, but I'm headed down to Miami. If you're listening and you see me, please say hi. Thanks so much for listening to the Unscripted Files. Don't forget to follow us at Unscripted Files Pod on Instagram. And of course, like, subscribe, follow, all the good things. And we'll see you next week on the Unscripted Files. The Unscripted Files is brought to you by Good Gravity Entertainment. Thank you to producer Bonnie Adams, original music by composer William Wright, artwork by Lisa Schweikert, and photography by Reach.